Hi, this is Kirby Younger, and this is my Module 11 case study for AEP 858. First, I want to summarize the case for you. Mr. Rhodes is the newly appointed principal at Golden Oak High School. Shortly after being selected as principal, the superintendent, Dr. Newman, tasked Mr. Rhodes with solving the issue of declining school attendance. Dr. Newman explains the policies and the laws in relation to school attendance and the consequences for not attending. Mr. Newman begins doing research on the high absenteeism issue at the high school, and he decides to focus his attention on 5 students who have missed over 10 days in the first semester. These students have missed school for a variety of reasons, and the school's response to their absences has varied enormously as well. First of all, we have Karen. Karen is an 11th grade student who historically has been an amazing student. This year, she has incurred frequent absences and thus earned lower grades. Mr. Rhodes discovers that she was married immediately before the school year began. There are also notes in her file that her parents have requested a meeting with the school counselor on multiple occasions. The second student is Tyrone. Tyrone is a 10th grade student and participates in the school honors program. Tyrone has missed over 14 days the first semester, even though only 3 days are allowed to be considered excused absences from the school. Due to trips with his parents to, I believe it was Washington, D.C. in Canada, according to his parents, these trips have been discussed as educational experiences. Tyrone's homeroom teacher excused all of these absences. Christina is a freshman attending Golden Oak High School. She has incurred many absences, including 3 separate weeks in which she missed 4 days each week. Her homeroom teacher accepted her absences as excused when she received a note from Christina's minister. However, her algebra teacher has requested a meeting with her parents because she has missed 2 major exams, and her grades are reflective of this in almost every class that she is taking. Carl is a 10th grade student. He's incurred a large number of absences his first semester. He splits his time between Golden Oak High School and the district's vocational school. He was immediately referred to a truant officer who visited his home. Here, his father made it clear that school is not a priority in their family. And finally, we have John. John is a junior, and he is the starting quarterback for the school's football team. He was injured before the start of the season and has been okay to play as long as he attends physical therapy twice a week. He misses class on Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 2:30 for physical therapy. These absences are considered excused by his teachers. He also misses classes on Friday afternoon so he can have time to rest during the football season. His teachers have not reported excessive absences at all. So as you can tell, all 5 of these are very different cases and were treated very differently. So first of all, you need to establish the facts. The what? Mr. Rhodes is the new principal at Golden Oak High School. Golden Oak High is facing very high rate of absenteeism among select students. And Mr. Rhodes is in charge of solving the attendance problem by working closely with both social services and juvenile court. The where is, of course, Golden Oak High School. Golden Oak High School was described as a high school that has always been very upper middle class, but recently has been experiencing more minority groups moving in. The who includes Mr. Rhodes, the new principal, Karen, an 11th grade student, Tyrone, a 10th grade student, Christina, a 9th grade student, Carl, a 10th grade student, and finally John, an 11th grade student. The legal issues are outlined when we read about the court case Prince versus Massachusetts in 1944, which states that if parents are not looking out for the well-being of the children, it is the state's job. Part of this well-being means sending your children to school. Most parents are following this law, however, some are not. I would say the biggest case where one family is not is Carl's parents, who made it clear that school is not important to their family. The ethical issues that exist in this case are abundant. There are no clear guidelines or consequences for attendance from Golden Oak High School. Certain students received special treatment from administration when it came to attendance. This proves that some students are obviously considered more important than others in the eyes of the administration, and there are no clear policies when it comes to their excessive absences. Here are the people again: Mr. Rhodes, Karen, Tyrone, Carl, and John, and Christina. Um, Again, it's a public high school that has historically not had much diversity, but recently has been experiencing new move-ins and thus more students that represent diversity. Who are the stakeholders in this case? The stakeholders in this case are the school administrators, the teachers, students at Golden Oak High School, and parents and family members of each student. Communication has varied from student to student. In John and Tyrone's case, it seemed like there was a large amount of communication between the school and the students and their parents. In cases like Karen's and Carl's, it seems like communication was clearly lacking. Carl's family was reported truant immediately with no sign of trying to reach out to parents. It also said that Karen's parents had requested multiple meetings with the school counselor, but nothing if those meetings actually occurred. Is this conflict damaging to stakeholders? Absolutely. Some students and their value is being put above other students. The school has gone above and beyond students who have a perceived important role in the school, namely John, the quarterback of the football team, who has been excused for absences 3 afternoons each week during the football season. On the opposite end, Carl attends vocational classes and has missed random days throughout the semester, but was sent straight to a truancy officer. This is a huge issue, and I think that all students need to be held to the same standards. The absence issue can result in legal trouble, and it should be very important to all stakeholders. I think there are more things that we could learn about this situation. Why were these decisions made? Is there a set policy that the school follows, or is it a case-by-case basis? Who makes the final decision when it comes to excused versus unexcused? Who are the teachers involved? Do I know enough to make an informed decision? I feel like I do. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the options and consequences of each decision that could be made. Option 1 is take no action and do not create or change the policy or lack thereof that is in place. Option 2 is have a staff meeting with all teachers to discuss what actions teachers feel need to be taken for students who are frequently absent. Option 3, meet with other principals in the district to review their absence policies, talk to Dr. Newman and see if the district would make a policy for all high schools to follow. And finally, option 4, build a committee of school leaders to recreate absence policies and consequences and present them to all stakeholders. All teachers will be required to follow the new policy. Option was take no action and do not create a change to the policy or lack thereof that is in place. The pros of this option is that it is easy, no change will take place, and teachers will be able to continue doing what they have always done. Change may cause conflict with staff. The cons, students and stakeholders will continue to be let down by the system or lack thereof that is in place. Option 2, have a staff meeting with all teachers to discuss what actions teachers feel need to be taken for students who are frequently absent. The pros, all teachers will feel like they are important and play a role in decisions being made. This will allow change in a flawed system. Cons, staff will not agree on policies and many different opinions will be brought to light. Option 3, meet with other principals in the district to review their absence policies. Talk with Dr. Newman to see if the district would make a policy for all high schools to follow. The policy would be uniform across the district, and the superintendent would not come to you to make changes. Teachers, parents, and students across the district would have the same policies in place from one school to the next. Those are some of the pros. The cons include that the teachers may not like the new policy changes and may not enforce them. And finally, option 4, build a committee of school leaders to recreate absence policies and consequences and present them to all stakeholders. All teachers will be required to follow the new policy. Some of the pros include leaders will be able to work together to make the policies and consequences that are the same for all students at Golden Oak High School. All students will be valued the same and receive the same consequences for chronic absences. Cons include students who were favored in the past will not be favored anymore. This may ruffle feathers of some parents. I think the best option is option 4 for a few different reasons. First of all, it addresses how favoritism has played a huge role in excused versus unexcused absences and the consequences of those absences. Secondly, it allows a group of people to facilitate discussion and make decisions. This decision is not solely on Mr. Rhodes' shoulders, which allows other leaders in the school to take ownership of the decision being made. And finally, option 4 allows all students to feel valued by Golden Oak High School because they will be treated the same. The path that we must take to follow this is 1. Mr. Rhodes will need to identify the people in the school who are viewed as leaders by their peers to form a committee to discuss the recreation of attendance policies and consequences. Next, the committee will need to agree upon attendance policies that clearly align with the laws in place. Third, once attendance policies have been agreed upon, the committee will need to come up with clear consequences. 4, what sort of special consequences will be accepted? These special circumstances must not be school-wide. What sort of special circumstances will be accepted? These special circumstances must be school-wide and not on a student-to-student basis, as has been in the past. And finally, number 5, present the committee's decision to all staff members. Explain that staff are required to follow these policies and consequences, and if they choose not to, they will be reprimanded. What conflicts may arise? Committee members may disagree during the process, and these disagreements will need to be addressed. Staff who are not asked to be a part of the committee may be upset or feel like they should be included on this decision. Who needs to know? When the final decision is made and presented to staff, students and families need to be made aware of the new policy and its consequences. Dr. Newman also needs to be made aware of the committee's decision. What if this path doesn't work? If this doesn't work, Mr. Rhodes will need to contact Dr. Newman and ask that Dr. Newman step in and help guide him to a better solution. I think it would also be beneficial at this point for Mr. Rhodes to meet with other principals across the district and discuss what their policies are. Here are the standards that we have discussed during this project. Standard 6, the words that stuck out to me were, it is my job to promote the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult. I need to apply the laws, policy, and regulations. And as for component 6.2, I need to understand and demonstrate the capacity to evaluate, develop, and advocate for a data-informed and equitable resource plan. Finally, I want to end with a quote that I found on the CFIP website. It says, "It is becoming increasingly clear that schools improve because students' performance improves, and students' performance improves because teachers at the classroom level carefully assess student learning, examine the results of their assessments, implement needed enrichments and interventions for students, consider the implications of assessment results for their teachers, and adjust their practice accordingly." And finally, I've shared my resources with you.